All right, now that we've lost all the people who have a 0.25 attention span and the people that are actually watching this, care to see what I have to do and share and say? Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, I want to take you along my process on customizing a knife for an incredible subscriber. He entrusted me with checking out two very interesting knives. One of them is very expensive. One of them is definitely the middle of the road for a lot of people, but still really cool. That's the one that I'm going to be working on. It is the New Breed EDC Clydesdale, and this thing is pretty freaking wild looking. I could definitely say that if this was made available again, these are not available anymore to my knowledge. It was a small run, a sprint run, if you I guess can look at it that way. But this is a pretty wild looking knife, and we're working with some pretty cool materials. Of course, with anodization, you need titanium. So we have titanium scales here. This is an inset liner lock. I believe that liner is steel, so we're not gonna mess with that too much. If anything, I might still be able to stonewash it, which I think would be pretty cool, and I don't think my subscriber would mind that, since this thing is going to be getting a pretty cool custom look. I think it's going to be really nice because it has the black accents. All the hardware on this is T8, which is, I freaking love T8. It's better than T6. I don't think anybody could really argue against that. The blade here, if I didn't mention already, it's a huge chunk of 14C28N, which is basically budget super steel. I absolutely love it. Have plenty of great examples in my collection, my personal collection of this blade material, and it's god tier stuff. It really is. The inspiration for this knife is going to be one out of my personal collection that I carry a lot, like a lot. This looks very unfamiliar from what it did when it's brand new and from the factory, excuse me. This is the Montecala Knives Assault Team Model 1. This has seen a butt ton of modifications and, of course, major improvements. Of course, to tailor what I like aesthetic-wise. So I did my typical acid dark wash on the blade. I laid the edge back significantly. There is a 17-degree edge, and it is an absolutely incredible slicer. Now, I removed the flipper tab and enlarged that space there to get a better purchase for ergonomic purposes, and I'm just not a fan of flipper tabs. And then, of course, I did the high voltage blurple on the scales. It's semi-polished, it's not super reflective, but that's a tricky part. So you're going to need to have patience when doing this. Patience is going to be the biggest and most important thing you need when modifying things, and that's something that I don't really have. I have a lot of other hobbies that patience is the #1 thing, and somehow even now I still don't really have much patience. But things you're going to need starting off with PPE is some gloves. Goggles probably is a good idea. You only have one set of eyes, and it would be a good idea to protect them. Different chemicals, dry form. This is borax. This is going to be a neutralizing solution and double as the electrolytic solution. So neutralizing solution in correlation with corrosive chemicals. This is Wink's Rust Remover, and this is to remove any possible mishaps or reset the finish on the titanium scales. This is very important stuff, but it can be very dangerous. So this is where having common sense and safety comes into place. So this is very corrosive acid. You do not want to get this on your skin. It's pretty fucked up stuff. So this is important to have, definitely. And so the way to stop the acid from eating away any more of the titanium, you need a small little vessel. I literally just have a water bottle with the top chopped off of it. It's water and the borax that is a neutralizing solution. Also, you need another vessel that the part is actually going to be anodized in. This is just a little plastic container that is super overly saturated with the borax. This is just borax and water. It's just that simple. Another important thing, a power supply. I got this thing off of Amazon for like, I think around $100. I will link it down if I can. Super easy to use, really fun. Comes with everything you need, corresponding negative and positive. I don't know what the middle one is for. I haven't messed around with it. I have electrocuted myself many times on this because I'm still learning, and I'm definitely not a professional by any means. I'm most definitely a novice, but this is a passion project, and it's just one of my other hobbies. So that's very important to use. This is going to be a little, I believe it's an anode or a cathode, I forget which one's which, but this connects to the negative and the positive will be connected to another piece of titanium wire, this allowing current to flow through the titanium scales that we're anodizing. You do not want to let these two pieces touch. You do not want to let the titanium touch this while being submerged, because you can make essentially permanent damage to the knife. And that is, oh, the blade finish itself. So we're going to be doing the same acid dark wash on the blade. You're going to need ferrochloric acid, and it's kind of out of reach. It's up there in this corner. That ferrochloric acid is something that is also very corrosive. You do not want to get it on your skin. So gloves, goggles, paper towels, and disinfectant wipes at the ready. In corresponding with that ferrochloric acid, another little thing that you're going to need is some nail polish, or just anything that's easily to apply to important contact points. Ones being the actual lock face of the blade. You don't want the acid to eat away any of that material because it'll affect the lockup. You want to do the inside of the pivot because you don't want to create any pivot lash. You want to save as much material as possible, not create any extra space. Because this has a traditional stop pin located right there, you want to protect both faces of where the stop pin lands, so that way there isn't any excess rock. You basically want to do everything you can to keep this thing functioning the same, but just make it look cool. That's it. So, and then last thing, this is a little container. Sorry, don't mind that. This is a little container I got from Walmart, little plastic container, something fancy. There is a gallon worth, not really, of WD-40. There is aquarium sand, aquarium gravel, and aluminum oxide powder. This is basically my tumbler that I use to get the finish on the blade. And I've used this method many, many times, and I'm very successful in getting a consistent finish that I enjoy, and apparently a lot of other people enjoy as well. So this is my primitive technology here. You can get a motorized one, of course, but you're gonna have to mess around with seeing how long it can take. They can be noisy, so I rather bust this out myself really quick for, 5 to 10 minutes versus having a motorized tumbler with a small capacity with not much wiggle room for the knife to move around, running for hours and hours and hours, and I just don't care to do that. So that's my method. This is my setup. This is the stuff that I use. I don't do anything special. I'm not hiding anything from you guys. Some wet sandpaper. This stuff is dirt cheap, just a little piece. This is 2000 grit. I have 2000 and 3000. The 2000 is what I go through the most because I've done super high polished titanium before to where it's damn near a mirror finish. I don't really like it, but it can be done with just a lot of time, patience, and a lot of handiwork. So that's it. I'm going to be starting off with taking this thing apart, cleaning it. I will be right back and show you guys. What you guys are going to see next is basically a top-down view. This thing all disassembled, cleaned, and ready for the super cool, fancy anodizing color changing process, and you guys could get to see all of that cool stuff. So that's going to be the main part of it. I don't think I'm going to need to actually sand this much, but I want to see if the factory finish is reflective enough to get the nice tones of purple with a little bit of blue highlights in it. I think it should be just fine. The finish looks like it's like a stone washy sand over sandblast. That's kind of what it looks like, and you can almost see the milling lines right underneath the finish as well. So hopefully there aren't any fuck ups and we have to redo the finish, and but I've done that before, so I'll be right back. Alrighty, so we're back. I did skip a couple little steps, but really all I've done so far, took it apart, I cleaned it, I made sure it was, nice and dry, no weird oil marks or anything like it. And I've gone ahead and just thrown it into the solution that is going to be anodized in either way. I have my power supply set up. Let me go ahead and turn it on. I do have gloves, of course, just to keep any of my hand oils off of this thing. I have paper towels ready to make sure this thing doesn't make any bigger of a mess than it needs to be. Go ahead. This is just some twisted up titanium wire. It's gonna be hanging on the outside. This will connect right here. It'll hang right there, right. Now, I do need to get some sort of like a silicone or plastic shield to, just in case, keep this thing away from, you know, making any sort of mess. The power supply is set to 65 for my last project. We can go ahead and bring it up to, let's see, let's do 75. I think 75 should be right at the entryway of high voltage blurple. Maybe having a little bit of pink tones, I'm not sure. I'm trying to compensate for the finish that's on the blade. For the scales, because the duller or more surface area due to bead blasting or any sort of blasting material that's impacting the actual titanium, it creates essentially micro surface area. That micro surface area is what's going to make it more difficult for light to travel back. I believe that's how things work with reflectivity and colors and things like that. So basically, the finer the finish is on the scales, the brighter the anodization will be, but also the color spectrum will actually change a little bit. So I would typically do maybe like an 80, but because I'm trying to compensate for it having the factory bead blast, stonewash, whatever finish on it, I'm bumping it down by, you know, 5 volts to see if, you know, that works. So we'll go ahead, everything is live. We're gonna go and just make contact with this thing right here, and I'll pull it up a little bit to show you guys. I'll even try to, I'll bring the camera in so you guys can see the color change happening. I know this is the part that a lot of people like. So let's just go and connect this bad boy right here. All right, see the bronze, the blues, there's like grays, and then the yellows. After yellow, it should be like a pink. And then after the pinks is when the, yeah, so like the peachy tones are coming in right now. After the pink, it should be high voltage blurples. I do think I need to go a little bit higher, actually. No, it's not doing a whole lot. Bump it up a little bit and see if that helps. Yeah, it definitely helps a lot. Now it's a good bit of pink. Let's go ahead and disconnect. Paper towel, paper towel. So, turns out I do need to go a little bit higher up voltage wise, but this is a pretty nice color. Check that out. So we're almost there. Almost there. Go ahead, resubmerge this, get this thing nice and juicy again. Going to do, let's just do 85. Okay. Oh, come on. There we go. Definitely getting more and more purple for sure. should be almost done. All right. Disconnect really quick, pull it out, just check it out. Yeah, pretty freaking close. Let me just dry it a little bit to see what this thing looks like. A little dried up. Oh, that's nice. This is one thing I was a little concerned about, because I'm going and anodizing directly over the factory finish. Any use marks are going to be a lot more visible. That little scratch right there, that's where the pocket clip sits. That's where the actual retention contact point of the pocket clip is at. And you can see there, right about there, those little lines right up there as well. Those are just little snail trails. That's what snail trails are. Let's see anything on this side. This side looks pretty clean for the most part. There's one little one right there. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give this guy a little sanding. So I had a feeling I was probably gonna have to do that anyway, but I mean, it's still a pretty good look. I like the color a good bit. It's like a lot lighter of a high voltage blurple. Let's go ahead and open this up, take it off, since we're not gonna be dipping this anymore. But you can see some of the edges actually have that blue, and there are some little areas in there that have more blue because they were kind of sanded a little bit. Okay, yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and dip this in the Winx rust remover so you guys get to see that. So let's go ahead and back the camera out. It's getting all blurry. Okay, so I'll be right back. I'm gonna cut it right here, and I'm gonna show you guys everything's set up for the Winx rust remover, and then to be dipped into the neutralizing solution, just to show you guys that that's what I do. Alrighty, so little trick that I have learned to, just out of mistakes being made and all. When Winx rust remover is cold, it doesn't really work. And this is brand new Winx rust remover. This isn't old, this hasn't been used a bajillion times. This is, I kid you not, has only been used maybe once or twice. It does not really work that well when it's cold. I have a little portable heater in my garage here, and I just set it in front of there while getting ready, because I have to go pick up my wife for her doctor's appointment in a sec. But I want to show you guys that this works better when it's warm. What I have in here, the scales have been cleaned. It's warm soapy water. They are just in water for now. I'm going to go ahead and drop these guys into the Winx rust remover. Have them hang here for a second at an angle so where you guys can see the effect taking place. Hopefully it starts in a second. While that's happening, I'm going to put borax into this water to put it back once the color has been eaten away. I'll make a little mess there, of course. And that's just going to be acting as our neutralizing solution. So it's still going to take a second. So I'm going to be fast forwarding this part, and you guys will see the effects of the Winx rust remover. I am so sorry. I'm absolute fucking garbage. I fucked up these scales so bad. I redid them 4 times, and each and every time I set up my camera like right here where I'm sitting to record and show the cool color changey of the whole anodizing process. And one scale was purple, one scale was blue. So I'm like, okay, well, fuck, let me go and put them in some acid, remove the finish, go into the kitchen, polish them. I did this 4 times today. But these are fucking beautiful now. Yeah. Take a look at those freaking things. The level of consistency, I don't even think I have this in my own personal collection. I just kept going them over and over and over again until they were absolutely perfect. Yeah, I couldn't be any happier with this. I hope my subscriber is happy with these as well, because these are just fucking these are just beautiful looking. I got the nice high voltage purple, blurple, whatever you want to call it. At low light it's blue, at reflective light it's purple, and it's just beautifully consistent. It's not super reflective and polishy, it's a mid polish. I use 2000 grit wet sandpaper. But yeah, that's what took me forever, and I'm absolute freaking trash because I wasn't able to actually get it on camera. I set up my camera like 3-4 times to capture the color change, and this is something that has happened to me before in the past. When I was first anodizing, I was putting them together, anodizing both scales together. And the one time I did not set my camera up and I anodized the pieces individually, separately, they came out freaking beautiful and consistent. So I'm super happy with that. And I apologize I wasn't able to get the cool color changing and whatnot. I'm still gonna post this video regardless because content is content, and I think it would be funny to laugh at myself, or at least have you guys laugh a little bit. In the meantime, what I've done after crying my life away, I've gone ahead, cleaned these pieces. What I got here, this is the blade, of course, this weird ass looking thing, and this is the steel liner. Now, what the finish is on here is a standard B-Blast, nothing fancy, but I'm going to darken this up just a little bit, because you don't really get to see much of this when it's all assembled. It's really just the actual, the disengagement part that you go and disengage from. So I'm going to throw it into some ferrochloric acid just for a little bit, just to darken it up to match the blade. Now the blade is going to be receiving my typical acid dark wash, and of course I'm going to be putting a sick freaking edge on here. If I record the sharpening portion, I probably won't even be talking. It'll just be a quick little speed through. And I've also put some nail polish. It's about set already, so there is some on the lock face right there, and major contact points, which would be the detent hole. Of course, I take the very end of my wire, dip it into the nail polish, and I just pack the hole, the detent hole, in just the very lip around it, just to make sure that there is no widening of that detent hole, because this acid works really fast and it chews away material like you would not believe. So I do not want to be removing any blade material from sensitive parts to keep the consistency of action and fit and finish and all that. Also, the actual inside of the pivot hole, and of course both spots where the stop pin land, here and then here as well, and also the lock face there. So those pieces are all nice and dried up. I'm gonna go ahead and probably not even gonna bother recording the part with me shaking the freaking thing, because that's gonna take a second. So well, whenever I see you guys again, you'll see some cool progress, I'm sure. Alrighty, so we are completely done. Finally anodized, sharpened, reassembled, and just freaking ready to go back to my wonderful subscriber. Let's check it out. This thing came out pretty freaking sick. Let's see if I can turn down the brightness a little bit. A little too bright. There we go. Okay, that's better. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm proud of this. This is really cool. And the action, the pivot, and all the good stuff, everything is just as it was from the factory. Action, of course, is incredible. Lockup is beautiful. And it's just everything that I hoped it would be. And I hope that that my subscriber enjoys this as much as I do. So, as I mentioned before, what we've done here is stripped and anodized the scales, a semi-polished finish, of course, anodized to blurple. The blade has seen a, let's see if I can focus here, an acid dark wash, and then an 18-degree edge. So that's what an 18-degree edge looks like on the Clydesdale. It's not too broad, it's not too tall of a cutting edge there, but it should perform excellently. Let me go get a piece of paper real quick. Okay. Focus, please. There we go. Oh yeah. Beautiful. And as it goes through paper, it has this little ring sound. This is awesome. So what's on here is a 400 grit. So it's a coarser edge, right? It's a working edge, but as you can see, it's awesome. And on 14C28N, it's definitely the same recipe that I use on a lot of my 14C28N blades. So that is it. Took me a little bit longer than I thought it was going to. Plus I had to live life and do a couple errands in between it all. But yeah. If you guys like this video, go ahead and leave a like down below. If you are subscribed, thank you so much. I appreciate all your support and your patience, of course. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing because I have plenty more videos and content coming your guys' way. With that being said, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.